Our next session highlights the voices of ESCO associations around the world and each a critical force in building strong markets. Now please welcome our moderator, Mr. Pierre Langlois, co-chair of the Global ESCO Network and president of Econoler. And joining him on stage are Mr. Zulkifli Zahari, President of MAESCO from Malaysia, Mr. Carlos Ballesteros Barrado, Director General of ANESE from Spain, and Mr. Ricardo Valesquez Lechuga, President of AMENIR from Mexico, and Mr. Pierre Tiracomen, Vice President of the Thai ESCO Association. Let's welcome our panelists.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to present some of the most successful ESCO associations in the world. So through this session, we'll hear the voice from ESCO associations that are the core of the activities of the Global ESCO Network. So my name is Pierre Langlois, I'm the co-chair of the Global ESCO Network, and I want to present first the fact that the Global ESCO Network is there to support associations around the world. That's why it was created. We added up a lot of other stakeholders as well, super ESCOs and practitioners, but the fundamental reason why we created the Global ESCO Network is to support these associations that are at the core of the development of the concept worldwide. So I'm very, very happy to share with you this session and to have these gentlemen here, well, representing, like I said, one of the most successful ESCO associations. So I will start with the Association of Malaysia, Mr. Zahari.
Zulkifli.
Exactly. Which essentially I had a chance to work with for a long time. And I would like to ask him to present his association, what they're doing in their country, their biggest challenges. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Zulkifli. I thank you for the organizers for having me here. First and foremost, let me just give you a little bit of background about Malaysia. We are a population about 33 million people. Yeah. Our NDC is 45% come 2030. We have an ambitious goal of trying to achieve 23% of energy savings by 2040. And we recently had our Energy Efficiency Act enacted by 1st of January of this year. And we also have our net zero target by 2050 roadmap, which was launched by our Prime Minister last year. So anyway, a little bit about MAESCO. Our association is 25 years old. We have about 70 members in total, big and small. Our members actually range between those who can do EPC, both renewable energy and energy efficiency. And we also have another category of members that does not do energy performance contracting. We also have associate members and international members. Yeah, and we were actually formed through a UNDP program way back in 2000. That means we are 25 years old. So along the way, we have developed our interfacing with all the stakeholders relevant in our country, especially the government, the industrial players, and of course, the financial institutions. So we approach our functions and roles in these three components. As we see it, these are the things that we need to address in order to remove the barriers within our country. Yeah. So the first is, I think we can proudly say that we are very much a stakeholder, a key player in order to enact our our new act, which took actually 10 years to enact. It was quite a long road. That's one of the reasons is because, unfortunately, we had a few changes in government, so that slows things down. And then we also assisted in providing or proposing incentives, green incentives, as well as to collaborate with the agencies from the government point of view. And of course, as very much emphasized, financing is a very important aspect. Not many banks understand how to finance energy efficiency contracting because of its complexity, and they do not understand how to manage the technical and financial risk. And from that point of view, MAESCO provides the assistance and the guidance and, of course, courses to develop banks' familiarity on how to finance EPCs. Forms of contract. And finally, of course, interface with our industry itself, building capacity, energy managers, energy auditors, and those sort of things in order to fulfill the requirement and the compliance requirement of the country. So Malaysia is still a net exporter of energy, but our prices have risen very, very much. So the time is right for Malaysia to make sure that it achieves its targets. So I think that's the general background that I would like to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will ask Mr. Carlos Ballesteros Barredo, the Director General of NEC from Spain, to present his own activities.
Thank you so much, Pierre. It's a pleasure to be here today. Amazing. Congrats for the Turkish entities because it's full, really, no? So this is amazing, no? For the second symposium. Talking about ANESE, ANESE is the National ESCO Association. We have right now 185 members. And we have a special ecosystem. We have in this ecosystem all the agents, all the actors, all the integrators for boost the market, no? For the energy sector as energy service concept, no? So we have inside of us around 40% are ESCOs, but we have around finance institutions, providers, technical providers, and of course the consultants, people, companies for the technical or legal or aspects to boost between all of us the market. So instead the end users, and maybe in the future we achieve this goal, we have all the ecosystem to push the market. We have around 10 working groups of different concepts, as for example the financing, the contracting, decarbonization working groups, or legal, or I don't know, many of them day by day to develop. As an association, we have, we can say, two brands. One of these is to defend as a lobby, in the good concept of the lobby, so to defend the interests of our members. And imagine that this show different concepts between an utility, an ESCO, or a finance institution, right? So that's the most concept of the association. But at the same time, we have to mobilize together everything as a cluster, with networking, with events, with dissemination of the model, right? So I think we have to move on in the two concepts, not only one of them. So this is relevant and important to have this ecosystem. How's ANESE or the sector in Spain? Step by step, really, no? So it's so known not only for the past week of the blackout in our country, if not for the renewable energies, but it was a big opportunity for the energy efficiency years ago when the cost of the energy was so high. All the industry start with auditories to start with new projects of energy efficiency. And thanks to the next gen funds for the recovery in Europe, we developed many of the Turkey projects. So if we are talking about the turnover of our ESCOs, our sector, we are talking energy efficiency around 4 billion euros. And the investment is so close to 1 billion euros. But if you talk about the ESCO projects is the 30% of these concepts. So we are growing step by step, and maybe tomorrow I have the opportunity to speak a little bit of a new mechanism of finance. That is the white certificates that we start the past year for the first year of develop of this market, and we have good hopes in the develop. Regarding the barriers or the opportunities is so clear. The white certificates, they make a really impact in the industry, and especially for the third sector, not for the residential, in order to decarbonization. Maybe in the future with the ETS2, we have opportunities for develop, and the most important barriers is always the knowledge and the lack of the knowledge of the model contract. This is one of the most important barriers. We have the period contract of maturity of a contract is around 7, 8, 9 months to understand for the end user. This is a really challenge that we have to avoid. And another is the public sector. And the public sector, here in the keynote, the speaker said about the European Directive of Energy Efficiency, how promote the ESCO key agent, and especially for the public sector. No? We have to develop new mechanisms. I believe in the concept of the super ESCO in my country, especially for the public sector. Right? But we have many things to do in the next years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And now Ricardo Velasquez Lechuga, President of MNR from Mexico.
The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. This is a quote from Gibson, and it reminds us that the innovation exists, but it's our work to connect it and to take it to a place where it's needed, where it adds value. So thank you for the presentation, and congratulations of this magnificent event. It's a pleasure to be coming from Mexico and being here sharing with all of you. I have the honor to represent Mexico, which is I will give a little context of Mexico. Mexico is the second largest economy in Latin America. It's the 15th around the world. And some of our goals that we have to reduce emissions is 35% to 2030. So that give us, that put us a lot of pressure in working towards it. So from the Association of Energy Efficiency Companies, we are around 20 companies, from the biggest to the consultants, independent consultants. And we have been around for 12 years. And in those 12 years, it has been evolved from just a specific ESCO. Now we are more an ecosystem where it exists from ESCOs to manufacturers to consultants. And we work closely together with the Ministry of Energy and with the National Commission of Energy Efficiency. So in that way, what we do is we have 4 fronts of work, because in Mexico I would say that the ESCO model is still, although that we have an industrial base quite developed, the energy efficiency market is not in a developed state. So there's a lot of opportunity, because the consumption, we have, I don't know if you have heard about the nearshoring. Do the NAFTA, we have a lot of manufacturing there, and they're landing a lot. So the energy efficiency ends up to be a problem solving for the energy generation. So in that way, the energy efficiency from the association, we work closely with not just the federal government, but to the local government where their needs are. So in that way, we work in in 4 fronts. And one of them is close, it's with EVO. We are training partners of EVO in Mexico, so we do the certifications, which is a key part because one of the barriers, it's the verification protocols. I think that it's I say something quite basic, but I think that it's quite useful that you have to be sure that the meter is 100 centimeters. So in that way, we give that knowledge to all of not only the members, but beyond that. And then the other ones, we have collaborations, as I said, with the organizations, and then we have special projects that we work with, for example, with the mitigation action facility, which are here. And well, in that way, the ESCO model, I think that later we will discuss where are the barriers, but in Mexico it's quite different because the cost of capital is quite elevated compared to other locations, geographies. As Clara said, the ESCO model is developing. I think that with some barriers in Mexico, but with the ecosystem that we are building, I think that it will help a lot. I think that these collaborations that we have with the global ESCO, it helps a lot to bring value to the locals and to advance, because in that way we have been in some collaborations with the global ESCO, with ANESE, and with other associations that speed up the process, because I think that is the way to do it. So in that way, well, from the Association of, the AMENAR, the Association of Mexican Energy Efficiency Companies, we are working towards helping in decarbonization, more like an integral way, not only just energy efficiency.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. And then Perusu Tirakomen from the ESCO Association of Thailand.
Okay, good morning, everyone here. On behalf of the Thai ESCO Associations, we are honored to join these important gatherings. It is a privilege to stand among the global leaders who share our visions for accelerating energy efficiencies. We work on the climate actions and sustainable development. So that's a great job for us, for all the members of the Thai ESCO. So 18 years ago, since 2007, we formed the Thai ESCO Association. We start forming from the small numbers of people who are working closely in these ESCO industries. Actually, ESCO industries were developed and helped develop by Econolers back then, since 2000s, with the Ministry of Energies and EGAT, Electrical Generation Authorities of Thailand. And since then, it's growing. It started to have the foothold. It started to become the key pillars for the energy efficiencies drivers in the government National Energy Plan. The latest draft of the NEP, which is expecting to release to the public this year, also including ESCO as one of the key pillars to drive the energy efficiencies. So Thai ESCO Associations, we are working closely with the Ministries of Energies, Department of Alternative Energies Development and Efficiencies. I have to read that, it's really long. And the interesting part is that we have to working with the financial sectors, the other side of the success pillars for the ESCO project. So we gather the task force, we're working with the Bank of Thailand, which is govern the banking policies, let's say, giving them the advice, the voice from the industries back to policymakers to make sure that when they are releasing the upcoming Thailand Green Taxonomy Phase 2, which is including the construction, real estate, and manufacturing, the ESCOs will be a part of the key drivers to make the green economies. So what I heard from the Bank of Thailand consultants working tasks, because our taxonomies comply with Europe's taxonomies, China's and Japan and ASEAN taxonomy also. But it's the first time that we have, I think, if there's nothing wrong, if no one changed at the final stage, the IPMVP and PMVA, PMVE will be the key roles to include to be the verifiers of helping the projects continue to be green. So the financial institute, the investors can make sure that their green portfolio are sustaining using the services, at least from the ESCO M&V. But at the end, the whole technologies that people would like to buy, to procure, were now mitigated other risks, including operation risk, technical risk, implementation risk, using the ESCO. So with this initiative that we're planning to do, all the 52 members of the Thai ESCO Associations, we focus to scale the ESCO markets. ESCO market is still quite small comparing to the other general contracting, equipment supplies, and other energy efficiencies activities. But with ESCO, we will help them secure the success deliveries. So what we are working on is we try to scale scale up the market. We're looking for the standardizations of the M&V protocol focused on the IPMVP. And we try to find other mechanisms to de-risking the financial and de-risking the operation risk for the investors and for the owners. So with Thailand positions as a regional in ASEAN energy transitions, because in the ASEANs, we are the second largest energy consumers in our regionals. The first one would be Indonesia, but there's 200 million plus people. So imagine that the country is only 67 million people. We are the second largest energy consumers in the ASEANs. So we have to transition, or else we cannot survive. The energy intensity is still high. We have to meet our 2030 goal to reduce at least 30% from now, and our national NDC is to be in 2050 to be the carbon neutrals and net zero by 2065, which is our government's committed to the global communities. ESCO need to be working very hard to become the one of the choices to be the tools for the decarbonizations and working on the energy efficiencies. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for all, and just say that I'm very pleased to hear that IPMVP is quite present in all the countries. Yesterday, we had a gathering with all the ESCO associations who are present. Soren, my co-chairman, is essentially telling me that we have 37 ESCO associations that are part of the network right now. A lot of them were present yesterday, and when we asked the question about who knows about IPMVP and who knows about measurement and verification, all of them confirmed that they were working with that protocol, so it seems to have made quite a lot of change. I had the chance to serve on the EVO board for many years, and I see that it's really transformative, so I know that Onur in Turkey as well has done that. So that's certainly something that unites us as we have to measure these savings efficiently to essentially have an energy performance contracting scheme to work. The thing that I would like to hear from all the speakers, and when we discuss this gathering at this event, we wanted to go deep into how energy performance contracting is working in every country. We want everyone to learn about how it's actually working. And what I would like to ask of all these participants now is, what has been the most transformative action or activity in your country? Is it a policy? Is it a financial mechanism? Is it something related to the market change that actually triggered the growth of performance contracting and the use of ESCOs in your country? What was the thing that actually we can learn from you that made something different and actually enabled that concept to work in each of your country? Want to go first?
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, in Malaysia, I think we were fortunate to have a few national programs. The first program that we had was called the Malaysian Industrial Energy Efficiency Improvement Project, which focuses on energy efficiency in the industries, the big guzzlers of the country. We're talking about cement, steel, ceramic, pulp and paper, food, wood, things like that. And in that project, we had a component called ESCO development. That was when MAESCO was born. Yeah, that was in 2000. And there was a specific program on how to develop projects, how to do audits. Before the project, there was no, even I did not know that ESCOs exist, you know, but it was a project that I managed to win and learn. And the project includes components like financing, technology, demonstration projects, and things like that. So that was the starting point of energy performance contracting. And we also had other initiatives like conditional energy grants, audit grants, whereby entities that uses big energy is requested or is encouraged to apply for this conditional grant, of which the purpose is just to carry out audits to know where they stand. And once they know where they stand, they have to have a commitment to save at least 15% over the past 3 years. So that's another spur to promote projects in order to make it a little bit more widespread. And of course, we also have come to the stage where we give awards to those who do energy performance contracting. So there will be hospitals, there will be energy facility management companies that does the energy performance contracting that will be accorded recognition for doing energy projects. So I think all this combined, plus the fact that we have a new driver, which is the law, and not to mention other government projects like the NETR, the National Energy Transition Roadmap, of which the government has targeted at least about 500 million USD worth of projects to retrofit government buildings through EPC. So again, that's another incentive for ESCO development under the EPC concept. And again, with this, the banks are coming forward to see how they can fund projects. And all in all, I think it's a joint effort of collaboration between not only our association, the government, stakeholders, professional bodies, and the technology providers. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlos, I had the chance to attend one of your events, and I was very impressed by the number of stakeholders who were interested in performance contracting. And I remember working in Spain many years before, and it was not at that level. So what made that change? What made that performance contracting scheme so attractive in Spain?
Yeah, just I think it's necessary a little bit of the context, no, between to understand a little bit now the real growth or the steps that we did in the past, no. So 13, 14 years ago, yeah, imagine Spain, Italy, Greece, or many other places in the Mediterranean area. It was with the concept of the debt, right? We are increasing the debt. It was a really damage for the sector, and the performance contracting, it was considered in the balance for the public sector, especially that we are increasing the debt. So it was a real barrier that stopped everything for the performance contracting. So we work with the European Investment Bank to boost a standardization for the treatment, guide for the treatment, statistical treatment, and the finance concept for the performance contracting. I'm talking about 2018. We start for dissemination of this concept when it started COVID, right? So we stop in that point. Then comes the recovery funds for Europe. And we start with the Turkey project, renewables in Spain, everything, the focus was in renewables and not in energy efficiency. But we don't stop. We continue working at the essential leg in Europe, because at the end, the majority of the directive is working in Europe, not at the national level. So we developed two important standards guides. One of them is the energy performance contracting model contract, but this is the minimum requirement to consider what's an energy performance contracting. So we are now on standardization for this model contract. That's so relevant. And the other, it was for the finance institution, the methodology to understand the performance contracting. So both of them. We are talking about 2012, 22, 2023, so everything is developed to start, no? And what's happened now? Meantime, for the private sector, the industry understand quickly the concept of the performance contracting, and the previous year is so close. Understand the people as the ESCOs with the dollar sign, you know, in the front of your mind, no? And this is not exactly what we want to be, no? And now appeared 2 years ago the white certificates, and the association pushed everything in this concept, no? And the next future is amazing. I think so, for not only for the sector, energy sector, for the ESCOs and the performance contracting. Why? Because now the utilities must to pay around this year 1 billion euros for the National Energy Efficiency Fund, or thanks to the white certificates, the complementary of their own obligated subjects. So it's an opportunity. As a utility, you have to pay, instead of pay, to have an area, an ESCO area, to develop in the market really directly for the B2B or B2C. So that's the new role of the performance contracting that integrated everything, not only the energy efficiency. The concept is there are many in the industrial sites. There are many entities that want to be neutral zero in 2030, okay? And, but I don't know, how can I do it? And the ESG, really, the S and the G, is more for governance, for sustainability, not for the focus is not in the E, in the first E. But we are expert, the ESCOs, in everything, not only in that. A supplier with renewables energies, with batteries, with electrical vehicles, with energy efficiency. What do you need? And I can help you. And again, the performance contracting not only is for the energy efficiency, it's for everything. We have difference for the private sector, especially difference in self-consumption. It's not our focus, it's clear. But if you want, why not? It's not in my balance of the ESCO, it's in your balance. But we can do it. And it's the only model contract, the only one model contract. Again, the only one model contract that's in the balance of the ESCOs, not in yours. The renting, yeah, but it's not the transfer of the asset. The leasing is clear. This is shown in your balance. The PPA, no. You need another agreement. So the big benefits of the performance contracting is that your balance is in the ESCO side. Thanks to the treatment of the guided statistical, is that so clear. So we need, again, for the public sector to develop more, but the main important companies at the utility understand. Of course, this is an opportunity of the business. From this year and to the next one and the third one, I have to pay 5 billion euros for the National Energy Efficiency Fund in Spain. It's a huge amount of quantity of money, really. It's amazing. And imagine the percentage of the reduction of the capex is 30, 40, or 50% for the white certificate. So the investments, we are talking about 10 billion, or 12, or 15 billion euros in 3 years. I have the opportunity to develop my own market, my own area, my own ESCO, and we are now seeing that a company as Repsol, this is, you know, oil, change a little bit and develop the energy efficiency direction and to create the first ESCO in Repsol. That's our challenge, that's our opportunity. No, we are not talking only for the big companies, the small and the medium. And part of the ANESE is to bring them the opportunity with the not only investment fund, or if not with the traditional bank, we have the 5 more important entities in the association working with us: BBA, Santander, CaixaBank, Sabadell. So the traditional banks has different teams to understand what's the performance contracting. This is a big change for the past. I think it's not to lose the hope. If not, we have a really opportunity. Maybe not in the past, but now yes. I mean, the private sector understand. Now the public can go on, because it's the only way. And the directive is amazing, really. The directive for European. Imagine that the name of the specific directive for the buildings is energy performance building. So we did it. The name of the directive is the energy performance. And that's the challenge, the savings, the challenge, the guarantee savings, the guarantee economical and technical solution. And then this scope.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. When I started to work in Mexico many, many years ago with FIDE, ESCOs was not even known. Performance contracting was just an idea. When we work now in Latin America, we're referred to Mexico as being the example. What made the change between going from not even understanding what the concept was to what it is today and the success you have?
It's been a long journey. I think that what happened in the middle, I think that from different perspectives, one of the things was international cooperation that helped, for example, with the first projects, public projects of renewing lighting, for example, that one of the main barriers was how to guarantee the payment for the ESCO to get back the investment of the capex. So with the international cooperation, was made a warranty for the ESCOs, so that waking up the interest of several ESCOs. And I think that was the first part. I mean, it was like a $50 million project that they were developed around different cities in Mexico. So that, I mean, there were not ESCO at the moment, but then some of them appear. And since that, I think that there were a development of the ESCO companies. And because at the end, there are no policies about the ESCOs, or there are not contract types, so that's quite a barrier. And then that's for the public sector, actually. There are more projects like that coming up next, because all of them, they're working properly. I mean, the ESCO model is proven, so now it's going to be a new phase. And that's for the public sector, which is quite difficult, because every time that the government changes, the companies get nervous. But this give them the certainty to continue. So that's for the public part. But for example, for the private sector, I think that the key part, it's what is happening with the agreement of Paris, that all the big companies, they committed, they're publicly committed to reduce their emissions. Yeah, but normally big companies have big goals, but maybe the investments are towards their core business, but not the reduction of emissions. And that's where the ESCO fits perfectly. Because at the end, they bring value not only by the money, because they are not financing companies, but at the end, they add value in a holistic way. As Carlos said, that they are experts in maintaining, renewing, and many other activities that add more value. For example, more of the companies now are trying to externalize the resources in general. And the ESCO gives human resources specialized to help them to accelerate those steps. So if you put in perspective, in Mexico, we have a big amount of big companies, but you have to supply those companies. So that is the next step, because you have, I mean, the main ones, they have the goals. They are starting to contract ESCO projects. We have incorporating many international companies that are landing in Mexico as an ESCO. And obviously from the association, we have to develop that knowledge, because at the end it's a trap if you don't have the resources to enable it. So in that way, in the private sector, well, you have the main manufacturers, but you have to go for the supply. So what will happen in the future if they don't add, because the more of the emissions of the main consumers are in the suppliers. So that is the next step. How? Because big ESCOs, they don't like, for example, small tickets. But that's a good part, because you get to develop more companies in different levels that are attracted to it. So you get a bigger market. And well, now, for example, what we are trying to implement is to develop with the National Commission of Energy Efficiency policies that protects both sides of these projects, because at the moment we don't have any type of requirement for the ESCOs to be certificated with some type of certification, and we're trying to promote that to them to have it. So I think that it's, and to share with all of you at the end, for example, in the case that, well, and one thing that I forgot is that now the government is starting, as the energy generation it's getting more renewable every time, but the energy efficiency, it's becoming a resource to release power in the network. So that it's a solution to one area of opportunity that we have. So in that way, this is quite interesting, because you are now in the, well, we're now speaking the same language with the government. They create a energy efficiency direction in the Ministry of Energy specifically. And in that way, in the near future, we hope to see it advance bigger. And with this type of, I think that something that helps like this type of gatherings and with the Global ESCO is that companies, for example, from other countries land in Mexico. We have many Spanish companies, German companies, and many other companies that land in Mexico that propose this type of model and validate it, because that is what everyone needs, to validate it, and then everyone starts to use it. I think that's, and one thing that I talked yesterday with Carlos, and this is, and something that we do in the association, I was speaking with Clara as well, that we have a podcast, for example, like to give this context, this sophisticated ESCO discussion, to give it to the level of everyone, to understand them, from the director to the financial guy to everyone, like to be influencers, I would say, like that way, that everyone can buy it. I have a friend who speaks it really good. He said, like the telephone, you know, we have in Mexico we have one of the biggest telephone guys in the world, and that you buy the phone or the modem by renting of the internet. So, and that worked for it. So I think that in ESCO, we need to work. I mean, we are working in getting it to know more easily in a simple type of communication.
Thank you very much. Marissa, we had many people from the ESCO Association of Thailand who came for the gathering yesterday, and we had a chance to talk with them. Remembering working with you 2010, I think, and a lot of people were interested in the concept, not that many things happened in Thailand at the time. When we discussed with them, I've heard about easiness to get financing. I heard about capacity to go to big markets and actually implement performance contracting scheme. It seems that things are going very, very well in Thailand related to that growth of that concept. What made the change? What happened in the last 15 years?
Well, actually, it started picking up. We're expecting to grow faster, but it's still not yet meeting our expectations. But yes, it's picking up. In the last few years, the cost of energy is going up very high, and government are backing off the subsidies of the energy costs. So the real energy costs reflect down to the societies, to the operators, to the building owners, developers, factories. Then the bullet start to bite. They need long-term fix, because it depends on how the government's playing with the subsidies. Let's say in next 4 months, we have extra subsidies coming out around, it's going to cost taxpayers money around 70 billion baht, just to keep the energy cost below 4 baht per kilowatt hours. But the real cost, if we have zero subsidies, it will be cost around 4.8, 4.9 baht right now. So governments try to levelize these costs. But before that, when they do not during the COVID time, they do not have the extra money to subsidize the real cost emerge. And that is the one thing that giving the opportunities for the ESCO to start expanding. You will see a lot of energy efficiency projects, a lot of new developments are looking for the very high energy efficiencies rather than just buy the cheapest and make it quickest as much as possible. You see a lot of leading building losing their tenants to the greener building, to the more energy efficiency buildings. So some of the developers have to retrofit their buildings, 20 years old buildings, to become more and more efficient, green level. And now with the Thailand taxonomy coming out, the government start to shaping the frameworks and try to guide, not forcing, but guide the economies towards the green and sustainable. So the Bank of Thailand coming out with the green taxonomies, we using the labels like green, yellow, amber, and red. So to be classified as green, you need to exceed what is the law for the building energy code, need to be exceed the building performance or energy efficiencies. So the ecosystem from the government side start to shaping around and guide into the more energy efficiencies directions. In the meantime, governments also provide a very good support, but not direct injection of the monies, not giving away the monies to the ESCOs like before 20 years ago. But we're using the tax mechanisms. For example, for ESCO who do the EPC contract as a share savings, if you apply for the Board of Investment, the profit generated from that specific EPC contract is zero commercial tax, zero corporate tax on the project-by-project basis. So it's encouraging more ESCO to engage into the share savings, because once you do the guarantee saving in the old, let's say majority's way in the old days, the building owners, developers can claim back 50% of that investment as a tax incentive also for 3 years. So governments now using the mechanism of giving rewards, but not just giving away the monies for the economies and for the ESCO to do the energy efficiencies. For the district cooling or very large PPA district coolings, they have also tax exemptions for the utilities company to build district coolings. So a very large district cooling size like 26,000 tons of the cooling capacities, 30,000 tons of the cooling capacities, they do not have to pay the corporate income tax also for another 8 years. And any projects that been labeled as the energy efficiencies, if we need to import some instruments, some machinery, some tools from the outside into Thailand, we have zero import duties for the energy efficiencies. So this is how government shaping and helping from the Ministries of Energy, Ministry of Finance, Bank of Thailand, and also the last year, Bank of Thailand signed with the 8 commercial banks to do the sustainable fundings. So not only pushing as the green investment with Bank of Thailand, with the SEC, but giving the bankers, local bankers, to develop the products specific for the energy efficiencies, for renewable. So this is how the ecosystem are reshaping, and that's making the ESCO market growing. We see the increasing in numbers of the members. There's a lot of contracting company or equipment supplies company that would like to offer the business model ESCO to the clients, but they don't know how, so they start to become our members. We do the capacity development and growing the capacities. So we, as associations, we also working closely with those government organizations and the market and the players in the market, try to shape the right directions. We do the M&V training. So everything is become, let's say, a fluid support and discussion between the public and private, and talk with each other, helping each other, try to find the best way to grow the market, expand the capacities, expand the capability of ESCOs without, let's say, with the minimum budget from the government as much as possible. So this is the directions that we've been doing right now.
Interesting. We've heard about things that are going very well. We very often learn quite a lot about things that are not going so well. And what's fascinating about this concept is normally everybody here would agree that when we talk about energy performance contracting, it looks too good to be true. And you've heard that sentence often. And it's difficult for all the practitioners to understand why it's not performing as good as it should, because it brings so much benefits and because we have the environmental benefits, the financial benefits and everything. So everybody should do a performance contracting. It's not the case, obviously. So in about 2-3 minutes, each of you, I would like to tell me what is the biggest barrier that you see in your own market. What is not working correctly so the market to expand even more? And I would go back to you and then come back here.
Okay.
So you told me about everything that's going well and everything that's, that's growing. And you said not growing fast enough. Why is it not going fast enough? What is the biggest barrier you see in your market?
Okay. I would like to give you 3 barriers that are blocking or pulling behind the ESCO to grow. First thing first is that the confidence of the developers or building owners or project owners. Because the ESCO models seems too good to be true, so sometimes they have skepticals, and in the industries, there are also good and bad projects, and bad projects always very loud and maybe too exaggerated, expanded the bad news. So there's still fears in the developers, and this is our duty is to gain back the confidence of these EPC, of this ESCO concept, to make sure that this is risk mitigation tools. The second one is the commercial bank understanding of the financing structures of the ESCO company. Most of the ESCO company still utilizing the conventional methods, conditional approach of the financings. So you need to put on collaterals. The bank didn't see the future cash flows that are coming in. So the reason that we start working with Bank of Thailand on the taxonomy is that we need the policymakers, we need the bankers, the banking societies to understand our pain points, to understand our risk. Once they understand our risk, our pain points, and they have the confidence, and then they can start growing the portfolios, they can start giving more, they can have the confidence to do the account receivable financings in the futures. This is a challenge on the banking side. The third one is that also on the confidence level. So most of the thing is on the confidence is that we still lacking the access of the credit facility insurance just for the ESCO or energy efficiencies. or the risk mitigation tools like the insurance policies for the energy efficiencies or insurance policy for the ESCOs. So these are the components that we still need to develop to fulfill the gap to make the whole ecosystem of the ESCOs completed and can taking off faster. A lot of people would like to engage, but they still do not trust, didn't have enough confidence. That is a more challenging barriers that we need to overcome.
Too good to be true. Mexico, Ricardo.
I think that the high cost of capital in Mexico, to have an idea, I think that the public bank is around, the rate of interest is around 11%. So a company to get that finance, you have to pay like 12, 15% of interest rate. So in long time contracts, that adds a lot to the contract. And the other part will be as well as Thailand, that most of the banks see the energy efficiency projects as a high-risk project. So I think that's for the private sector, and we're working towards that to help, for example, with EVO, with the protocol, the EEFP, the finance protocol to enable to know the energy efficiency projects for the finance sector. And from the public sector, I would say that the policies, we don't have many policies about ESCO projects. Well, we don't have any type, we just have energy efficiency, which is a good step, but I think that if we had more policies, we'd allow many companies to go towards that sector, which is quite big, and there are many other things that we can do. Something that it's the main barrier. I mean, there is coming back to the high cost of capital, there are many companies or local startups that got funds from a bigger, from Riverstone, from BlackRock or other big companies. They get funding at a lower rate. So that's starting to problem.
In my opinion, the credibility. So I try to explain in 2 minutes. So the relevance of the knowledge of the model contracts and the credibility and traceability of these model contracts. So it means now everybody knows in Spain, for example, the PPA. 5 years ago, nobody. And why? Because the policymakers boost this model to boost or develop the photovoltaic sector. Okay, well done. It's done, and everybody knows. Maybe a little bit more complex at the beginning, but now everybody understands. Something similar must happen, or should happen, thanks to the directive of energy efficiency for the energy performance contract. The public sector must be an example, a good example, to dynamize this model contract. Instead of any kind of rehabilitation, renovation wave, per any building in the public administration in Europe, more than 500 square meters must be behind energy performance contracting. Okay? And now we have to make the transposition per each country and develop these markets. So, in my opinion, the challenge will be for the public sector, because really is the key actor for dynamize really the private sector. If we achieve the credibility, the traceability at the national level, regional and local level, for all the municipalities, if we achieve this goal, for the performance contracting, everyone understands, and it's always more complex for the public sector than the private sector. If we achieve this goal in this site, the other will be easiest.
Okay.
Because the opportunity is done.
Okay. Last but least, what is the biggest barrier you see in your market?
Well, I see it from a few points of view. First, I think it's top-down. Actually, energy efficiency is top-down. You know, if the top management does not commit or does not believe in putting it as a priority, then it won't happen. And if it does, then it will happen. For instance, when I spoke to you about the MIIP project, there were a lot of things that we learned about it. Trying to do a project that is, very viable, but then again, it is seen as evasive. You are actually disturbing operations and so on, and the issue of confidence of whether it's going to disrupt operations or not comes into play. And that is one of the problems that we face during our implementation. Other than that, of course, problem with finance is, of course, important. The belief in the technology is also the other thing. Whether they know it will work or not is something that needs to be contended with. And of course, at the end of the day, the government also has to play a role in making sure that they give the proper incentives in order to make sure that the projects are viable. So if we can convince all this, that they can actually, and that one of the problems also I find is that we cannot advertise these projects that we do very openly. Many projects are successful, but the first thing you do in any energy efficiency project is an NDA. So you don't really have the ability to tell what are the success stories, and not many people want to share the secrets of how they reduce their operational costs and their fuel costs and so on. So in my experience, those seems to be the barriers that we have to overcome.
Well, thank you very much to all. We've learning from the practitioners, the people who are on the ground, working with the ESCOs, trying to make it work. We learned from the success, we learned from the difficulties. Thank you very much for your time. It was very appreciated. And thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.